up everyone? Welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome. My name is Meg, and today we are doing 3 looks, 1 palette featuring the Dose of Color Marvelous Mauves palette. I really enjoy doing these 3 looks with 1 palette just to give you guys a variety of what you can create, especially when you have a palette like this one with 5 shades. It may seem like you're very limited on options, but you actually aren't. There's so many different kinds of looks that you can create with that. So I really love that I'm able to showcase that for you guys. Let's go ahead and roll into look 1. So look 1 is very monochromatic. I got my shirt vibing with it. Got a nice berry lip going on, and for me this is what I would consider an everyday wear kind of look. It's very simple and easy, so that's just what I wanted to do for the first look. I always like to start off with something that would be achievable for the everyday person to pull off and wear at home, so let's roll into it. I'm starting the look off with Rosy, which is a light rosy pink. And I'm going to apply this all over my lid with a flat shader brush. And as you guys will see throughout the palette, the first 3 colors in the palette do have a lot of fallout, so make sure that you're picking shadow up, and at the same time you're also tapping off your brush so it doesn't transfer onto your face. So I'm just making sure that I get a nice even base of this on my lid, and I'm also going to put this into my crease. This is a fluffy brush. I'm using the Morphe G24, so this is just going to be an all over wash of color across our entire lid from inner corner to outer corner and into the crease. I'm also going to shape the outer corner into a V shape, so I just do a slight angle. Going in with the middle shade in the palette, Wishy Washy, which is a dusty mauve color, I'm taking a Real Techniques base shadow brush, and I'm just using this color to add definition to the crease, so I am just following that along my crease. And then I'm going to slightly blend it onto my lid just a little bit because I really want to make sure that that crease is covered. With this shade, it just basically stays right where you put the brush, so I do have to go a little bit lower to get the opaqueness and the color how I want it. And I am just defining that outer corner a little bit more. Back to the G24 brush and back into Rosy, the first color that we use. I picked up the slightest amount, and with the slightest bit of pressure, like truly using the lightest pressure, I am going to blend the very edge of that. That is a good way to make sure that you don't lose your transition shade or your base color. So this is just going to help blend the color out further. To ensure even more flawless blending, I am taking a clean fluffy brush. This is just from my makeup brush set, and I'm just going to go ahead and get the very outer edge of that to make sure everything is looking good. Moving along to the lower lash line, this is the Urban Decay brush that came in the Daydream palette. This brush, I absolutely love it for my lower lash line. I'm going in with Rosy, which was the first color that we used for this look, and I'm really dragging it down and really blending it out far just to add some more grunge factor to the look. But I really truly love this brush because it's fluffy, it's great for blending, but it's also small enough for your lower lash line. I kind of wish that they sold it separately because I would probably buy multiples of it. So I'm just blending that out pretty far because this is a pretty simple, easy to achieve look, and it just shows with 2 or 3 colors that you can really build a look up and make it more grungy and just make it what you want. So I went and picked up Wishy Washy, which was the second color that we used, and I'm also blending that into my lash line, connecting it up to the crease color. And I just didn't blend this as far down as Rosy because we're basically imitating what we did on the upper lid on the lower lash line. And make sure you drop your makeup brush a few times for good measure. To help define the lower lash line to make it more of that wearable grungy look, I'm taking the darkest shade in the palette, Wine Stain, which is a blackberry color on a Morphe M432. This is great for your lower lash line. I just stamp and wiggle the color on there. And I'm going to bring this all the way across, again from outer corner to inner corner. And again, personal preference, it's all up to you how dark you want to make this. I think I put 2 layers of it on and then went back in with the Urban Decay brush to just blend it out.
I've been wanting to get back into practice with wing liner, so that is what I'm doing here. I'm using the shadow, the same wine stain darkest color in the palette with a Real Techniques 202. This is super precise and finely pointed, so I really love using this to lay the shadow down across my lash line without having a super thick line. This did take some time and quite a bit of layering because of the fallout in the shadow. I was having to tap the extra off my brush and therefore it wasn't as pigmented going on to my lash line, but if I didn't tap it off then I would get it falling down onto my cheeks. So it was a little bit of a process, but it was worth it in the end because I didn't want a harsh black line. And here I am just connecting my wing to the line that we made on the lower lash line so everything flows together. And here is a final look at the eyeshadow.
So here is the fallout from look 1. These first 3 shades are pretty powdery, but they blended out really nice, so I don't necessarily mind all the fallout. So here is the finished look. I am just wearing my Ardell Wispy lashes. And for lips, I definitely wanted to again fit with a monochromatic theme. So this is their liquid lipstick in the shade Duchess. It was part of the Nikki Tutorials collab. And then also it's kind of hard because I'm not much of a blush person, but this is the blush that I like always wear in all my videos lately. It is the shade Party by Tarte, and it ties in with the tones and vibes of this look. So let's go ahead and get into look 2. So this is look 2. I really wanted to do something with like a smoked out huge wing liner. I am no expert in winged liner, so I will definitely be walking you guys through how I achieve this because this is a pretty bold wing for me. And I just love how this turned out. So let's go ahead and get started with look 2.
If you are a master at wing liner, then I'm definitely jealous of you, but this is going to be good for the rest of us that are still pretty new to it or maybe out of practice. So I apologize for being out of frame here, but I'm taking a Real Techniques detailer brush and I picked up the shade Wine Stain, which is the darkest color. It's like a blackberry colored shadow. And the best way to explain it is that you want to extend the line. Like if you were to follow your lower lash line and extend it out, that's how I got the base for the wing. So they're not going to look exactly the same because like eyebrows, wing liners are sisters, not twins. Hopefully it doesn't look anything too off. But that is how I got the base of my wings out. Now to get a more realistic idea of how this wing liner is going to look, I'm taking an angled brush. This is just a Sephora angled brush. And I'm just really going to outline where I want my wing to be because I wasn't even quite sure where I was going with this makeup look when I first started. I just knew I wanted to have a wing basically mapped out to make my job easier the further along I got into the tutorial. Now I am going back to the Real Techniques detailer brush with the same wine stain color, and I'm just bringing this down to my lower lash line because I also had it envisioned in my head to have a really heavy smoked out lash line. So I just am doing this again to get an idea of where the look is going and to adjust the wings because I definitely wanted the wings to line up and mesh with my lower lash line as well. So this is just kind of some pre-planning, but if you feel confident in your abilities, by all means, you don't need to do this. It was just to help give me a guide. Now taking my Urban Decay fluffy brush, and I am going in with the shade Wishy Washy, which is a dusty mauve. And I'm just smoking out and blending out the wine stain with this color. Again, I really wanted a heavy, dark, smoky lower lash line, so I'm going in pretty heavy-handed with this. Continuing with Wishy Washy, I'm just taking a fluffy brush. This was part of the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette, I believe, and I am just going to go ahead and put this in my crease, not my lid, my crease. It is too late right now, and I'm just going to focus on blending this out, and it's okay if you blend into the liner. Again, that was just a guide that was there, so it's okay if it gets faded. Now taking Rosy, which is described as a light rosy pink, I am going to use a Morphe G24, and I am just going to take a very light hand here and blend the outer edge. This can be a really great way to blend your shadows to have like a nice transition from the dark color in the crease to having a lighter color towards the brow bone. So I am just going to put that all over for a flawless blend. It is time to deepen things up, so I am taking Spaced Out, which is a muted berry mauve, and I'm using an E36. This is again a Morphe brush. It's like a very small pencil brush. It's really great for the lower lash line and doing detailed work like I am. So I'm focusing this on the outer half of my eye. So I'm just going to focus on building up the color. I kind of go back and forth to make sure that my eyes are even, so that's a quick little tip. And I'm basically going to build this up. I'm imagining if there were a straight line coming from the end of my wing, and then I'm just going to go straight across into the halfway point of my crease. I'm going in with Wine Stain, which is a blackberry, the darkest color on that same E36, and I'm just going in with a very, very light hand. And again, this is kind of almost going to mock a cut crease. It's going to be like a very soft kind of cut crease look. So I definitely wanted to bring the dark color all the way to the very inner corner. And then to help blend that out, I'm just taking that Urban Decay fluffy brush that we use on the lower lash line to blend everything together. And you just want to build this up to as much depth and darkness as you prefer. Now to quote unquote cut the crease, I am taking Fluffy, which is the lightest shade. It is a milky pale pink color, and this is on a tapered packer brush. And I'm just going to put this on my lid. I'm going to be pretty precise with it. I don't want to get it too much into my crease, but I'm just using this as a base for the lid color. You can see the shadow skipped in some areas and looks a little bit patchy, so to correct that, I'm just going to go back in with that Urban Decay brush and just blend it away. I'm going in one final time with a little bit of Rosy on the G24 brush and just really getting the edges of my crease to make sure all the colors that we laid down have a nice gradient to them. It's time to connect the dots, so to say, so I'm going back in with the Wine Stain and just filling in and redefining my wing. I wanted to redefine the lower lash line, so I'm just going back in with the same process as before with the same Wine Stain color to darken up the lower lash line, and then I'm going to go ahead and blend it out with that Real Techniques brush. This is what the finished shadow work looks like, and I just added my Ardell Wispy lashes on top.
So here is the finished look. For my lips, I just outlined them in my NYX lip pencil in Nude Suede Shoes. I love this. I just filled out my lip line and then I just used my NYX Gloss and Creme Brulee. Really nice light pink nude color. So yeah, and then to make the wing stand out more, I did go over it with my Kat Von D liquid liner in the shade Trooper. It's like the matte black. It's the first time using it and I'm really happy with how it looked. I'm really happy with how this look turned out. So let's move on to the next one. So here is the final look. I'm kind of living for it. I've never done anything with this kind of eye shape before, like on the bottom of my lashes. And I really like how this eyeshadow look turned out. I think it's super glamorous and I just think the colors are so soft and beautiful.
Here's to an awkward start to look 3 because I totally forgot to film the intro, but I'm getting started with Rosy, which is the light rosy pink matte color on the G24 Morphe brush into my crease. I'm focusing on most of the color into the heart of my crease. I'm not going to blend it up crazy far into my brow bone or anything just yet. I'm going to make sure that most of the color, like I said, is deposited into the true part of my crease, and I'm going to work on blending that down somewhat onto my lid a little bit because I want to make sure I have that coverage there and then blending it up. And it's okay to get it on our lid because we will be carving it out with concealer later. Taking Spaced Out on a fluffy brush, again this is the Urban Decay Naked Heat one I believe, I am going to look straight on and put this color right above where my lid is, and I'm going to go straight out, like drawing another straight line, and then I'm going to connect that down diagonally into my lower lash line area, and then I'm going to drag this all the way to the inner corner and then just really focus on blending it out. Here you can see what we are working with. With a Sephora blending brush, I'm just taking Wine Stain, the darkest color, which is like a blackberry color, and I'm really focusing this in the outer corner because I really truly wanted to have a lot of depth and darkness in the outer third of my eye. So I'm just going to pack that on and then blend it with no additional color on the Morphe brush and just go back and forth until I get a result that I'm happy with. So I don't completely blow past all the steps, I went back in with Rosy, again, just lightly blending out the edges. I really wanted to deepen up that outer corner even more, so with the Wine Stain, I'm going back in. This is a My Makeup brush set, pencil brush, that I'm using to deepen that outer edge. It is cut crease time. I'm taking the Tarte Shape Tape. I am in the shade Fair. And in case you are new, I love using this concealer because it is really opaque, and that's the kind of concealer you want to use for carving out your crease. So I am going to go ahead and take the Sonia Kashuk 110 brush. This is perfect for cut creases because it's pretty stiff. You definitely want to deposit most of the color onto your actual lid, so when you do go to the edge of your crease, you're not blurbing out more than what you need, if that makes sense. So the key to cut crease is that you definitely want to follow your lid line, and then you want to go slightly above it. So when you look straight forward, there's like a hint of concealer that is visible in your crease. I am also not taking this all the way across my lid. I am definitely taking it in 2/3, but I'm leaving that outer third empty. And it is an unfinished look in that outer third, so I just tapered off the edges on my lid. Going in with the lightest color, which is Fluffy, it's a milky pale pink with a tapered flat brush. I am going to use that as the lightest color for the inner third of our lid. The key here is to really pack the colors on. I'm going to repeat the same step with the Rosy, only this time I'm going to concentrate this on the middle of my lid to the edge of where the concealer stops. Back to Wine Stain on the pencil brush, I'm just going to connect the crease to the outer third of our lid, and this is what we're left with. Taking more of Wine Stain, the darkest color, on a Real Techniques detailer brush, I am lightly going to hug the edge of where the cut crease meets the crease to define the cut crease even more. Before we move on to the lower lash line, you can see what we're working with. I know I got to get better with showing you guys and pausing, and so you can see what the steps look like. But now I'm taking the Urban Decay Fluffy brush with Wishy Washy, the Dusty Mauve, and I'm going to start to build the lower lash line. Now I'm going to smoke this out really heavy and make it really dark on the outer 2/3 of the lower lash line. And I always blend up into my crease so it connects the top to the bottom. Now I'm using the fluffy side of the brush that actually came with the palette that I'm not a fan of. This is Spaced Out, the Muted Berry Mauve. This just kind of flung shadow everywhere. It was really good for getting into that space, but I just did not like how the brush that came with the palette applied. But I'm just going over the same area with the Spaced Out color. This is where I really started to get fallout because I was really packing on the colors to my lower lash line. Back to Wine Stain, good old Wine Stain. I feel like they're the star of the show here with this look. So I'm going back in with that same pencil brush, and I'm really going to define my lower lash line, and I'm going to add a couple layers to really make it stand out, kind of like as deep and dark as the outer corner of our creases. That's what I was going for on the lower lash line. Now I'm taking a black liquid liner. This is the Kat Von D tattoo liner in the shade Trooper. And I really wanted to have a thick liner on my lid. So I'm just going to start to build that up. And then I also did a very small wing at the end because I wasn't quite sure at this point if I wanted to do a big wing or where I was going with it. So that is where I left it at for now. Alright, so for the lower lash line, I'm going to try my best to explain this. So I just wanted to do liquid liner on the lower lash line, and I drew the line straight out from where my eyelid was, and that was my nervous, I have to make this even on the other side face. This is just going to open up the inner corner of the bottom of our eye because I wanted to really highlight that, and I've never done this before with my makeup. So I basically got those two edges and then I just went ahead with the liner and traced along the rest of my lash line. Once I had that accomplished, I took the detailer brush by Real Techniques with Wine Stain to blend that into the lower lash line. You don't have to do this step because I end up covering it up anyways, but on the other side of that Dose of Colors brush, I took Fluffy, which is a light pink color, and just put that in that inner corner part. And again, this even flung eyeshadow everywhere, so luckily it was a lighter color. I don't recommend using the brush that came with the palette whatsoever. I wasn't looking for an all matte look. I definitely needed to add something to the look. So I took my Stila Magnificent Metal Glitter and Glow in the shade Diamond Dust. This is like the silver focus one with some gold reflex in it. And I just took that same brush and packed it onto the new inner corner that we have on the lower lash line. Normally when I do these 3 looks with one palette, I try to stick to just the palette. But yeah, this definitely needed something amped up, and I'm so happy with how this turned out. I thought it just added the little bit of kapow that this look needed to really be wabam. And I know I sound totally crazy right now because I'm probably delirious. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. I just did like 3 voiceover videos, so I'm kind of losing it over here, but stick with me because we're almost done. In here is a fallout from this palette doing this look. I know I forgot to show you guys in look 2. It's not anything too terrible, honestly. It's just the first 3 shades that are pretty powdery, like I've said a million times. So just be careful with applying them and tapping off the extra and you'll be good to go. Here are the final standout pieces to the look. These are Cocoa lashes in the style Demi G. I've never worn these before because I always thought they were too dramatic, but they were perfect for this look. Oh my gosh, I love these lashes with this look. And then I filled my lips in completely with this NYX liner in Nude Suede Shoes, and then I topped that off with my NYX Butter Gloss in Creme Brulee.
So I really enjoyed showcasing this palette because I really want to show you guys that even though it's only 5 shadows and they're all in the same family, you can get a variety of different looks. I did more of like a more natural, like wearable during the day kind of look. Then I really wanted to do an edgy look with that crazy wing liner. And then this again is like a super glam look. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this 3 looks with one palette video. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. It really helps me out with YouTube if I know you guys are liking my content. Leave me a comment down below. What was your favorite look from this video? Do you have this palette? Is this something that you would consider picking up? I would love to hear from you guys. What content would you like to see from me next? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, guys.